If you see this in the desert, do not go near it. Welcome back, Charlie here. I've found the scariest things ever discovered in the desert. From an unexplained alien skeleton found in the Atacama Desert, to a desert witch caught on camera in Kuwait. First, we have to look at the Mongolian death worm. If you see this creature in the desert, then stay far away. You might be about to lose your life. These huge red worms can suddenly crawl out of sand. They will then try and attack you by biting you. Once bitten by one of these, you will be in extreme pain. A massive bruise will quickly appear where you've been bitten, and then your health will start getting worse and worse. And if you're unlucky, you may pass away. There's a reason why this worm is called the demon of the desert. These worms are found in the Gobi Desert. This is a massive desert in China and Mongolia. These worms are very rare, and some experts even believe they spit venom at their prey, very similar to a spitting cobra. It's believed this poison first paralyzes you and then ends your life. Moving on, let's look at this alien skeleton. In 2003, people were hiking through the Atacama Desert in Chile. That's when in the sand they found this bizarre skeleton. Some said this could be a human skeleton, while others said this may belong to an alien. The skeleton is only 6 inches tall, but the bones are very mature. Based on the bones, it's believed this creature was 6 to 8 years old, if it is in fact a human. But how does that explain the very long angular skull? To make matters even more strange, this creature only had 10 ribs. Of course, humans have 12. Many believe the Atacama skeleton is proof of alien life. This skeleton's DNA was analyzed, and it said it does contain some human DNA. But there were also dozens of genetic abnormalities found, many of which have never been seen in humans or animals ever before. This caused some to say this was a creature from out of this world. Nearly 2 decades after this skeleton was found, the debate is still open. Moving along, I have to show you this terrifying video of a witch in a desert. You may think witches only exist in fiction, but see if you agree with that after watching this video. This video comes from Kuwait. Because of religious reasons, witchcraft is illegal in Kuwait. But in 2014, this dashcam footage from the Al Mutla Desert was released. This video terrified many people in the region. The man tries to scare the witch away by revving his engine. The witch then rapidly runs forward, terrifying the driver inside. The man truly seems traumatized. The man eventually reverses his car and drives away, leaving this witch into the dark desert. Moving on, we have to look at these buried fighter jets. These fighter jets cost $40 million each. So why were they found buried underground if they still worked? Well, in 2003, the USA invaded Iraq. They were searching the Iraqi deserts for weapons of mass destruction. But that's when they came across fighter jets buried underground. In total, more than 30 fighter jets were found buried in the desert. These were MiG-25s, which were still working. They were buried because Saddam Hussein, the leader of Iraq, thought his air force would not stand up to the USA's. So, to avoid any air-based combat, he chose to hide all of his aircraft. He did this to hide the planes to prevent them being bombed. But in 2011, the USA won the war in Iraq anyway. They never found the weapons of mass destruction, but they did find these buried fighter jets. And a whole lot of oil. Next, I have to show you the desert breath. One day, someone was looking at the Egyptian desert on Google Earth. That's when they found this massive spiral pattern in the sand. It covers an area of 1 million square feet. It's made up of 2 gigantic spirals. The shapes are actually made from cones of sand. One of the spirals has cones coming out of the ground, while the other has cones that go into the ground. But who made this and why? Well, it turned out this is actually an art piece made by 3 Greek artists back in 1997. The piece was meant to show how massive the desert really was. But some people online don't buy this, and they believe something non-human made this pattern. Moving along, let's look at this giant hand. What is this giant hand doing in the desert of Chile? It looks like Mother Nature herself might be trying to give us a high five. But no, it's actually a sculpture called Mano del Desierto, meaning Hand of the Desert. It was made by a Chilean artist in 1992. Sadly, this is has been defaced by graffiti many times, but vandalism aside, it's still a pretty amazing sight to see. Now let's look at this desert giant. In 1998, a helicopter was flying over the South Australian desert. That's when he saw a massive image of a man carved into the ground. It truly was massive at 2.5 miles in length. It showed an Aboriginal man carrying a spear. The helicopter pilot was shocked. He told the news and government about it, and this was later dubbed the Maree Man, named after the town closest to it called Maree. The local Aboriginals here deny doing this, and even said this was a desecration of their land. It's dug a massive 14 inches deep into the desert, meaning this would have taken lots of people and lots of time. A $5,000 reward was offered to find out who did this, but amazingly, whoever made this has never been found. Next, we have to look at this Prada store in the middle of the desert. Prada is known for their $1,000 t-shirts and $10,000 handbags. So, what is one of their stores doing in the middle of a desert? This store can be found in Valentine, Texas. There are some products in this store, but there are no employees and no customers. This store was built and then left to rot. Some believe it's a marketing campaign by Prada, while others believe it's a satirical art piece about consumerism. Either way, it must confuse a ton of people when they see a Prada store in the middle of the desert. Next, we have to look at these white lines. In 2011, Google Earth users noticed something strange in the Gobi Desert in China. There were many big, zigzagging lines in the desert. These spanned over a mile long. Many people investigated this mystery, and it was later found these lines are used for satellite training and calibration. A big pattern on the ground allows satellites to pinpoint their position in space. The Chinese government used these to train their precision spy satellites, allowing them to spy on any country in the world. Other countries use different patterns to calibrate their satellites, but none are as big or mysterious looking as China's. Now let's look at this Somali carcass. This animal carcass was recently found in the deserts of Somalia. Many locals were panicked. Some believe that this may be the skeleton of a dinosaur, but it doesn't look like any dinosaur I know. What do you think this skeleton could possibly be? Finally, we have to look at this crashed flying saucer. In 2004, this flying saucer crash landed in the Utah desert, and NASA even released pictures to prove it. But this was not extraterrestrial. Instead, it was a sample return capsule from Genesis. That's a NASA craft which was collecting solar particles. But when it was supposed to come back to Earth, its parachutes didn't work. NASA had to deploy helicopters to try and find it in the desert. It crash landed at over 25,000 miles per hour, but amazingly much of its research was intact. It's just a good thing this crashed in the desert and not in any populated areas. Although dying by a flying saucer would be a pretty cool way to go out. Now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below which of these desert discoveries was the most amazing. If you want to see my short videos, check out my second channel. I've been Charlie, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.